Hey, this is Daryl again. Excuse me. And the fly I'm going to show you today, or when it's released on Monday, is called the Fool's Gold. It's one of the flies there in the Charleston Project Healing Waters fly fishing group. They're doing on Zoom meetings on Mondays, and this will be our fourth fly on for steelhead and salmon. On this one here, they're going to have us tie on with using jungle cock for an eye on there, but you know this is pretty spendy stuff. A lot of people can't afford to buy it, or if you want to get good quality, it's really expensive. The one I got here is got splits in it, so it's not that great, but it gives me a chance to practice using it. But the other thing that you could use could be some of those fake ones, or I'm going to try using Starling. And if you notice, like right in here, all these ones have little eyes on them. So I'm going to tie this Fool's Gold using Starling as the jungle cock. And so we'll just see how that goes. So there's even some white, there's some yellow type ones. And we'll give that a try and see what it looks like. And I'm going to show you one I've already got in there. It's got the Starling for the eyes, or the jungle cock substitution. But let's take a look at it, and we're going to tie this fly and explain materials as I go along. Okay, this is Fool's Gold. I believe it was tied by Ralph Wall, if I remember right. No, I'm wrong. It was Mike Kennedy, and it's another deer hair, or a hare's salmon fly. And as you can see, like right there is the Starling, which it doesn't look too bad for an eye. But we'll go ahead and we'll start tying it, and on there we'll remove that. And the hook I'm using again is an Ahrex size 6 HR 412 for low water conditions. Still haven't figured out, or they haven't explained to us, the difference between a low water and a high water. It would be, if someone knows that, they can help educate me on that. And I'm gonna try to debarb these. These are pretty strong hooks. Try to debarb. I can bend them slightly, but they're not 100% debarbed, but I feel a little bit better. And we'll put that in the hook here. On that. And again, as usual, I'm gonna start with some white thread, and I believe it's 8/0 is what I'm gonna start with. Again, just so the colors are brighter underneath the body. Since there's not a floss body on this, I suppose it really doesn't matter. I started the thread back right about in here. I'm going to try to build up this side so that this is the same diameter, so it doesn't look like it's got a bump right in there. And I'm going to take it back to where the barb used to be. So right about there. And I'm going to take it back up to the top to start for my tag. That way I'm the body is being somewhat consistent with the materials. And can't find my thread. Here I'm using a size 14 gold silver, 1/32 for the tag end. And we're going to start this with the silver side out. And this is the boring part. We're going to try to do touch and turns back to the point of the hook. Now that we're at the point of the hook, I'm just going to get my thread out of the way, give it 3 big wraps, and then I'm going to wrap this back to where my thread ended back there the first time. And then I'm going to wrap it back up to right where we started it. And now if I unwrap my threads, my thread and the tinsel should be right where they met. And this is another boring part. I'm going to stop talking and we're going to wrap this up to where we started or close to it. Again, to keep the body width there. And we'll snip that off. Counter spin the thread so it lays thread down flat. Next we're going to do is we're going to put a red tail feather in there. You have an option of either using some red saddle hackle or some golden pheasant. I'm going to use some golden pheasant here that's been dyed red, and this is like the gold part that you'll see a lot of, the crown I believe it's called. We just need a snip or two. And we want that curve. I like it when it curves up like this, and where your normal saddle hackle concept doesn't seem to do that. So we're going to pull this up so that it's right back to the curve of the hook. You know, like on a lot of these salmon flies or steelhead flies, you know, the tail will curve up, and then other types of the wings will curve down, so it's kind of oval shaped. And then we're going to use this to build in the body again, trying to you can see that we still got quite a bit of space there to fill in. Next material we're going to use is some Peacock Herl. I'm going to grab some small pieces in here. And we're going to kind of snip off the brittle ends. And I'm just going to tie this right in a little bit. We don't need a lot. It's the butt of the fly. So we'll just give this a couple wraps to build up the butt, so at least it's visible. And then we'll tie this off underneath there. And we'll trim off this excess. You can try breaking it off, but I never have luck with that. And again, we're going to flatten our thread, and we're going to move it up this time. And we'll probably end up filling this area in right here using our ribbing material, which is going to be some large oval gold tinsel. So we're going to kind of tie it in, like right here. And now you can see how we filled that in. And I'm going to advance my thread up for where we're going to start our body. And I'm going to be using some medium gold silver tinsel. The body's going to be gold. So again, we will start our tinsel on the silver side out. And we're going to do 2 layers going back and 1 going forward. Lock that in. And move our thread back a little bit. Now what we're going to do is we're going to counter wrap this gold oval tinsel. And it's like 5 or 6 wraps is normally the standard, I guess, according to the books, reading. Evenly spaced. There's like 4. I think that's good. And then we'll lock it in. Next we'll put the wing on, and the wing is going to be brown bucktail. You could buy brown dyed bucktail if you want, and then just use the white side. But if you've got white ones, why not use the back, since it is already brown. And now we just gotta clean it out, and we're gonna try to stack it. There's a couple white ones. I'm just gonna try to get rid of them out of there. And try to use a brush or a little comb. And then we'll put it in our hair stacker. And since we're going to want the points to go out that way, I'm going to open up my hair stacker that direction. And I'm using smaller hooks. We don't want that you know, maybe about going to the midway point of the tail. And I'm going to go ahead and, don't have to do it this way, but I like to try to trim it ahead of time. And then we'll anchor that in place. Take a look, make sure it's on top of the hook there. And try to lift it up a little bit here. So I'm going to take and lift it. Lift that up. Next we're going to do is we're going to put our beard in. And I'm just using some brown saddle hackle. Now from what I was reading, if you're going to put like jungle cock eyes or something like that on there, you wouldn't wrap the beard or the hackle on there. You'll just kind of like grab some here and then just pull the quill away from the materials. And we probably want it to stretch out maybe to the butt on there. And I'm gonna just grab what I think where I'm at. Making sure that it's around the center of the hook. And now I'm going to go ahead and whip finish, just so I can change out to some black thread for the head. And that's when I'll put the eyes on. And I'm going to change to a 6/0 thread. And like I was showing at the beginning there, all this little white or tan colored tips here, you could use that as an eye. And when you pull one out, it'll look like this. And I'm going to clear off the fluffy parts of it. You got to be careful. It's a very delicate stem. And you want that to be right in line with that wing. And we'll trim that off. flip it over. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. Again. And trim off the fluffy. And we want to make sure that the eye is about the same length as the one on the other side. Trim off that excess, and then we'll build up a black head on this fly. Looks good there. I'm going to tie that off. And then a little head cement. And there you have it. The fool's gold. I suppose it's because it's got all that gold tinsel, and then it'll probably fool them steelhead in that it's a great fly to eat. Well, I hope you found that helpful for when you tie this fly on Monday night with the group, and you'll be a little ahead of the curve. The Fool's Gold by Kennedy. It's, I don't know, looks like a pretty good fly. You might even catch a bass or a trout in your pond, or even a brim maybe. But I'm going to say I think the jungle cock or the starling or whatever you want to use for eyes, I think that could be optional. But I hope that you learned that you don't have to be using the materials to the recipe, and there's always substitutions for other materials out there that that you can at least find. You know, jungle cock is pretty hard to find here in the States, but you can find it occasionally. All right, I'm Daryl. Hope you tie up a few of these, and we will see you on the walk.